Good morning, good morning, good morning, my loves. So I just wanted to send this quick message of love and really taking this moment to just slow down and feel our hearts, feel how they feel where our bodies are currently existing, and just understanding that I know sometimes my videos come off as like, get it done, do it now. You have to make this moment happen now. That's the moment of wanting to build that inspiration and keeping us star seeds alive and remembering that we are all worthy at all times, always. But it's also okay to feel your emotions, to feel yourself, to feel your greatness, to feel your sadness, to feel your solitude. The reason I posted that the previous quote about the emotions is that I see a lot of people right now. We're seeing things that are happening, from Bernie dropping out to the pandemic to being at home and no toilet paper and all these things. It's not funny, but it's encompassing to recognizing, like, we see the moon phases. They're being brighter than ever. We feel our emotions more than ever. We have Easter weekend coming up with Passover. All of this stuff is connected. Throughout history, we have used religion and the text and things that are easy to study from somebody else's emotional turmoils and going up and down and doing the spirit work, and then they're able to make it into tangible form for us to read it and digest it. But now is a new world. We feel it. We're at a pinnacle point where nothing of spirituality has really been created as of now for the new millennials, for the new Gen Xers, for the the boomers and everyone who's ever still here on this earth living and breathing. We have not yet redefined too much of our emotional well-being. There's been a lot of technology, advances in technology, and that's great. That shows how intricate our minds can work. That's only an outer layer. The rest lies with inside of us. These are the moments right now. Remember what Passover was all about. You know what I mean? Where they had to put the marks on the door to say, I believe. I believe and I trust in something greater than what my reality is, because I have to. I have no choice but to believe. And the ones who were the naysayers, they just went about doing the same destructive behavior. This is a time of reflection to really pay attention to. We are making change every day. I see different quotes and stuff that I love and they resonate with me. Like the one, from the vegan movement to someone said, oh, what you think you're going to change something in your lifetime? It's not about this lifetime, it's about the 5 generations after us. Because guess what? There's a section. I used to say there's not even a section. When the first time I saw a vegan section at Walmart, I was so excited. And Aldi's and all these places I used to shop when I was basically living off the streets and not knowing, like, you know what, I might as well buy the food that's cheapest and vegetables and stuff. I became vegan by default. But I want people to know it's not about just veganism. It was feeling my emotions in that moment of when I have nothing, what do I do if I have no resource? Okay, like I was so addicted to meat that I was like, but it's expensive, so I had to go back into that. Then I realized that it wasn't even about the meat or being a vegan. It was about my reality of the world I was living in, my need for needing something that was created for me. And I realized that most of the systems that we work on were created for us. There weren't there. I looked around like, well, if I want to do this, okay, well, cell phone company, okay. Well, if I want to do this, okay, I need to go to the gas company to get gas for a car. Okay, I got to pay that. And I just realized how many services I relied on, and I didn't rely on my own emotions. I didn't listen to my gut feeling of, Juwan, save that money. Juwan, put this away for this moment, because I always thought I had more coming. I had more coming. And what I wanted to say is, like, these are the moments when I was my saddest, my most depressed, my most weary. I didn't know how, till this day, I still don't know how I was doing some of the things I was doing with like $0 in my account for months. But some way, somehow, I always found a way to talk to people, get to know people, help people, barter system, and I made it work. And those are the emotions that I had to go through: pride and ego. There were so many ego deaths. The ego death is so important. It is so vital to growth. I had to let it hurt. I had to let me feel shame. And I was like, where is this shame coming from? Where is this guilt coming from? Where is this lack of, I can't do this? And it's like, but you can. You're literally surviving. And There's a lot of times you should not be surviving. This was my awareness. This was the aha moment that woke me up into I was never listening to my emotions. I was using layers of protection that my parents had to put around me so that me as a offspring and specimen could survive just the basic world. And then that's the whole when you let your kids move off on their own or they leave on their own, that's when a layer of the world shreds that away. And then we're left with that center layer, that secondary layer of that emotion world I sent. That's where those raw emotions that are connected to our source energy that comes from the heart, grandma energy, ancestor, culture, conditioning. And we attach what our power is based on who was most powerful to us growing up as a kid. Whoever you name, that's your power sector. What was your peacefulness as a kid? Whoever pops in or whatever activity pops in, that's your peace. And then you take those two examples and you go back into your regular life, your daily interactive life, and say, how am I applying this? Does doing this bring me peace? Not really. I mean, people say it's peaceful, but it doesn't bring me peace. So, what brings me peace? Well, maybe if I adjust it this way, this makes me feel better. Guess what? Now that you did that, you just opened up a whole new realm for other people who possibly feel the same way as you, who have the opportunity to go into themselves and see our journeys. Storytelling is so important because it reveals the narrative of the human condition. It shows the emotional well being and understanding of who we really are and how we're innately built to respond. When we know how we respond, we know how we feel. And if we know how we feel, then we know how to trace the pathology of that root emotion, the cause of where it came from. Because the thing is, we don't have to keep how we were conditioned on any level, but if it brings us solace or happiness or some structure to our life, keep it. If there's no constraints on yourself or anyone else or your decision making, keep it. But start organizing them so that they're not all this one big ball of jumbled emotions that just, it is what it is. And if you get this reaction, I get to come back and say, well, I did this to you because I was this. There needs to be a less of that. There's so many people reacting about their soul work and their shadow work. I call it absorption work. We say dark work and light work and all this. Light work is reflectionary work. Dark work is absorption work. All of the stuff, all of the things we absorbed and taken in as children, as adults, as constant antenna, we have to really sort through that stuff. If we're not sorting through it and we're constantly absorbing, where does it go? If you're not creating, if you're not writing, singing, speaking, something, if you're not using your body to do something with this energy for yourself and for God's source, remember, spirit wants to express itself, even if you don't share it. It doesn't have to be about being on a grand scheme or on some big platform. It's about having the outlet to express yourself. When you are able to do this, you are malleable to change, and then you start absorbing new reflections and dualities of all of these emotions. The more we create labels and titles and words, then there's more dual perspectives that keep forking and branching off into this unknown vast universe of emotional unconsciousness that then we just become used to the reality of what's tangible. That's not enough anymore. We got to go back inside, and before we create a moment or a reaction or a statement or a thought, process it through all of your emotions and say, how does this feel? I myself have been working on my tone. I know for a long time I've been a very closed off heart because I learned how to protect myself from people who only wanted and they didn't really see how to give. But I realized I didn't know how to give, so I was attracting people who didn't know how to give. Once I started learning how to give, I started attracting people who gave, which was the love and attention and affection and the reciprocal conversation of, hey, you felt this way, I felt this way, but we got over this moment because we both have a dual perspective of understanding that we know what my reality is not your reality, but together it gives us a bigger scope. The background, the setting, the plot, the scene. We're not just the characters anymore. Now we're part of the whole production. All right, guys, take this in, feel it all. Like I said, this whole moment of being in solitude and self, it's not, when I say have a skill set and things like that and be productive, I don't just mean money and monetary. I mean, what do you bring value to for yourself? Don't worry about what the value of the world gives you. What value do you bring to yourself? Go through every emotion and let it be felt. You're only hurting yourself when you say no, because it's always inside of you. And then this manifests into your dreams, into stresses, and then other things and aches and pains in the bodies. I promise you, when you learn how to work out these two halves of these brains and let them communicate, and there's no fuzzy information in between, then they can flow, and then the blood flows, and the communication flows, and then the body's like, hey, this whole time you've been pinching this nerve because you was doing this, and everything communicates. It all makes sense. Allow yourselves to open up and really feel what's happening. Don't just see what's happening and repeat it. Feel it. Go through it. Ask why. And when you get to the why, come back out with possible scenarios of solutions for you. Remember, all we are sponges and replications and reflections of each other. If we start doing the inner work, I promise you, when we come back out, everyone will see the love and the beauty and all, and we will start building on empathy and for community and not just for legacy of someone else's ego. I love you guys. Besos. Have a wonderful, beautiful day.